We are set up, shimmed, all set to make a light pass. I've got the head backed off about 2 thousandths, and I'm going to slowly let it down. I know that the head on the machine is up 2 thousandths right now, so we're going to run a pass across the deck surface, and we're going to assess it and see where it picks up. I'll make a 2 thousandths pass up. It shouldn't cut anything, and then I'm going to slowly bring the head down and check to see where it is. But we won't know that until we make a cut. But I've done everything I can to make sure that the engine and the risers and the head are all trammed in as square as I can get it. So we're going to make one pass. It shouldn't pick up anything. Then I'll reset it for another pass, and it should just start to lightly pick up. We're going to start that right now. Caught a little bit right here around the bolt holes, so it's been pulled up right there. Nothing, just a little bit there, just a little here. So I'm going to drop it down 1 thou. Use the channel locks. That's how I set the cutter head on this machine. I don't trust this knob anymore. It's an old machine. Does good bad, just, you know, things to know about an older machine. So I'm going to spray a little bit more Pam on the deck. That's what I use, dollar store Pam. So this should make a little bit more of a cut. Essentially, we're 5/10 away from zero, which I kind of figured that's where it was going to start to pick up, but you never know. That's why I always let the head come across the surface and then slowly let it down, because we don't want to take any more than we need to. It takes a little bit more work to set it up. I don't care if it takes all day for me to set this up. I'd much rather have it set up right and not ruin anything or take more than needs to be off this particular engine. It is starting to pick up. It's cutting here and there and everywhere, and that's because that's an open deck. And on open deck stuff like this, if we can cut it a little bit, I like to do that. Okay, I'm going to show you where we're at on it. You know, it's picking up around the bolt studs for the head, and you know, of course, why wouldn't it? It's an open deck, you know, it's not very strong, but you can see what we got going on. We're picking up here, we're picking up there, picking up over here and here. So I'd say she's pretty damn close to the machine as I can. I'm going to set it down a little bit more. Probably I'm going to do another thousandths and see where that lands. And if that cleans it up, we're going to stop right there. Then I'll set the other side up. Of course, with the machine going forward and then climbing, climbing and then going back, you know, the head might move just a couple tenths. That's why I'm not going to put any more into it until it backs up and then makes that cut. Then I'll look at it and assess it. But like I said, you know, that's kind of the way this is going to go on this one, and I think she'll be good. It's looking like on the back cut it's taking just a little bit more off. Probably, I always thought it was about a half a thousand, so there's a little spot I can see where it's not picking up, where it's a little low in the middle here. Firing rings are almost cleaning up. There's a couple witness marks here, but overall the deck looks pretty good, except it's a little low right here. I can show you that. I'm just going to put you right in there. You can see we're a little low here. We're good here. I'm going to stop the machine. I want to set it down. You can see the firing rings. We're not picking up 100%. So I'm going to take her down just a little bit more. Like I said, we want to try to stay around 2, 3. That's kind of where I want to be at on this. So I'm going to take it down one more thousand. So I'm going to back the machine off and make sure we're clear of everything. So I'm thinking that this is going to be my final cut with this. Put a little more PAM on it because it's cheap and it works good. We'll let her rip. So what I'll do is, once I'm clear of the block, I'll raise the head up 5 thousandths. I know it's at 0. This one's going to clean up at 0, I believe. I'm pretty sure about that. And then I'll back it up 5, and then when I get my audible cut on the other one, when it hits 0, they're square. Still getting a little bit of residue from the firing ring. I don't know if the back cut's going to clean that up or not. Everything else looks great. It's just a little spot on the deck, and I'll show you that. You can see right here, right there. Other than that, everything looks pretty damn good. Up here is where the head gasket, and nothing's out there. That's corrosion from, you know, probably salt and whatnot being driven on the road. So the gasket surface area is pretty darn decent, but we're gonna see if that cleans up. If it not, I'll drop it a half a thousandths and we'll go from there. when I get the other half set up in the machine, I'll take a video of that, and then we're going to set up on the 283, get the 350 off the Storm Vulcan, and then start squaring that in. We have to check the line bore on the 283 before it goes up on the machine. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be my last pass right there. So we'll get back to you on the other one. I'll let you take a peek at what we got going on here in 1 second. I'll take you off the tripod. Okay, we got just a little mark right there. Other than that, I'm going to just take it down just a little bit more, not much. And I'm going to make one more pass, and then that'll be it on this one. I'll have the other one set up in a minute. This is the other half of the block. This is my setup here. This one's surfaced, and going to take her off the mill, give her a quick jet wash, and that'll be it. And then we're going to set up next on the 283. Before I set up on the 283, I thought I'd mention this. It might help somebody out. You know, in Michigan, we get a 10-cent return on cans. There's a lot of valuable shim material on this can, and more than 10 cents. So on the Subaru, I had to shim the head a little bit on the deck, and I can make up these shims. And this is about 3 thousandths. And, you know, a pair of scissors will cut the can just fine. A good pair, halfway decent dollar store pair will cut it, and that's what I do. And sometimes I use feeler gauges, but, you know, 10 cents, that's a lot more than 10 cents worth of shim there. So I thought I'd mention that before we get on the 283. The 283 has got some issues with the line bore. We're going to probably get it up on the machine, and then I'm going to address the line bore a little later. I'll probably have to line bore it, but it won't be an excessive amount, so I have no fear of decking it right now. I'll be able to get it plenty close enough for what we're doing with it. Yeah, this is one of the blocks I cut with my Storm Vulcan, and that's, you know, it's a multi-cutter head, and I'm more than happy with this surface, and I've never had a problem with it. And I probably will not ever change to a single cutter on my Storm Vulcan. The reason being is because I've got a single cutter Berco, and you know, I've probably done over 50 blocks, probably well over 50 blocks, and these still feel fairly sharp. And I set them up and I cut them here at the shop. But you know, if it starts to affect the finish and it's the audible sound of the cutter gets loud, then, you know, it's time to sharpen. But usually with this machine, they stay relatively sharp unless you hit something in the deck or if the block's been repaired. And some repairs raise hell with them cutters. This is the engine I just pulled out of the machine, and this is the finish that I normally can achieve with it. This would be the one that I just took off, and the other one I showed you was yesterday. So there's almost a reflection in there. It's a slow machine, but, you know, I set it up and I let it do its thing, and I'm doing something else. If you're waiting for it, then you're going to wait a long time, because I've got a variable speed on the machine, and I run it down about here. Right there is about the sweet spot. And it crawls along and it does the job. And as long as it does the job and it makes it flat, and it does, and the finish is acceptable, and it is, then I ain't worried about it. If I had one machine, and at one time I only had that machine, and if I didn't have this one, that one might be a different story. But this one's set up for polycrystal diamond and CBN. And I usually set this machine up to do my heads. Okay, what's going on with this block is these caps are arched. And there's no press left in them because they're arched. Now, when we put press in them, they're going to arch up even more because it's going to squeeze the cap. But we want a little bit of snap fit on the cap so it will go back into alignment. Right now, they're so loose that I can wiggle them. You're never going to get a true position on them that way, and it's not the right way to do things. We're not going to do things wrong. We're going to do them we're going to do them as right as we can, and that's, as far as I'm concerned, no good. So it's probably going to look like this is going to get line bored. That's not a problem. I got a line board machine. It does a beautiful job. It takes forever and a day to set it up, but I can do a better job than GM ever wished for. So we're just going to check it with dial indicator. We're going to go in there and we're just going to check them to see just how far off they are. Right now, there's no press on them. There's no snap on the fit of the cap. Okay, this one's saying it's damn near zero. So zero means that it's on the small end of the spec of the housing board, which is fine. This one's saying it's a half a thousandths. And this one's saying it's basically 2/10 of a thousandths. And it's probably got a little taper to them because most of the time they do, and it does. But it's going to need to be line bored. And would it have needed to be line bored if the caps weren't arched? Probably not. I don't know the history of the block. I didn't have the luxury of measuring the block before it had been elaborated. They did it in an oven. They heated it up and they burned all the crap off of it, and then they elaborated it with steel shot. So, did they overcook the caps? And did the caps take a set? I don't know. But I know what it needs to be done, and I've done it, and we can do it, so it's not a problem. But we're going to put it up in the deck. We're going to deck it, and the reason why we're going to do that now is because essentially the 12 and the 6 will change. As you tighten up the housing board and you cut them down, they will change. But the 3 and 9 across the cap seldomly changes much. Once I get these caps tight, I will adjust the caps. There's two different ways of doing caps. You can peen the edges of them and then slide the cap, or you can silicone braze the side of the cap. I'm not going to get into which one I'm going to do. I've done both successfully. I've heard guys actually say to take the caps and press on them. We ain't pressing on no damn iron cap. I don't give a hell. It ain't gonna happen. Sorry. I'm gonna silicone braze the side of them if I have to, and get some snap fit. How much snap fit? Well, this ain't no race engine. It doesn't need a hell of a lot. Once the bolts are tightened down, it's going to flatten the caps. The caps are not flat right now. The caps, when this engine was made, it was green iron. This thing has been cycled. This engine is, this engine is older than me. So, am I perfect at this age? Hell no. Is that engine perfect at its age? Nope, not by a long shot. Can we fix it? Absolutely, we'll fix it. But, getting an engine that's over 60 years old and thinking that you're only going to bore it and hone it, you might get lucky, but boy, I wouldn't bet a lot of money on that. So we're going to take care of it, but we're going to still get it up in the machine to deck it. And, I can center up on the housing boards. It's not going to change that much. We're not going to deck that much off of this engine. We're going to deck as much as we need. Now, if this thing were going to zero deck it, I'd probably line bore it first. But we're not zero decking this engine. So that's where we are with the 283 right now. Hopefully we can get it in the mill today. My butt's dragging a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. And if not, the next video will definitely have it on it. So we're getting ready to put the BHJ two-deck system in. These work on these taper cones, and them taper cones center up through the camshaft housing bore. And then, you know, we center up on the main housing bore that puts the block straight. So what I normally do is I take my cone and I just sand just a little bit by hand and make sure there's no edge on that to affect the taper. So there's nothing on that. And I'll put the taper in there. Put the taper with the shaft assembly going in there. And we're going to have to move the block a little bit. So hang on. We got the 283 up on the mill. Got the BHJ true deck system on it. It's all set to go, but we're going to call it a day because, well, I'm running out of steam. But anyways, we'll get to cutting that. And I guess if you're curious about the small block Chevrolet heads, they're all washed up over there, and we'll be putting them together, and I might probably be making a video on them. And that's going to be the profilers and the E-heads, the Edelbrocks. Thank you for watching. Give me a like and tell your friends, please. Thank you.